Dr. Reed Richards, a genius but timid and bankrupt physicist, is convinced that evolution was triggered millions of years ago on Earth by clouds of cosmic energy in space and has calculated that one of these clouds is soon going to pass near Earth. Together with his friend, the gruff yet gentle astronaut Ben Grimm, Reed convinces Dr. Victor von Doom, once his classmate at MIT and now CEO of Von Doom Industries, to allow him access to his privately owned space station to test the effects of exposure to the cloud on biological samples. Doom agrees, in exchange for control over the experiment and most of the profits from whatever benefits it brings. He brings aboard his beautiful chief genetics researcher, and Reed's ex-girlfriend from MIT, Susan Storm, and her hot-headed brother Johnny Storm. This private astronaut was Ben's subordinate at NASA but is his superior on the mission. The quintet travels to space to observe the cosmic energy clouds, but Reed has miscalculated, and the clouds materialize well ahead of schedule. Reed, Susan, and Johnny leave the shielded station to rescue Ben, who has gone on a spacewalk to place the samples, and Victor closes the shield behind them. Ben receives full exposure out in space, while the others receive a more limited dose within the station. They return home but soon begin to develop strange powers. Reed can stretch like rubber, Susan can become invisible and create force fields, especially when angered, Johnny can engulf himself in fire at temperatures over 4000 K and can fly, and Ben is transformed into a large, rock-like creature with superhuman strength and durability. Meanwhile, Victor faces backlash from his stockholders due to the publicity from the failed mission and has a scar on his face from an exploding control console he was near during the cloud's pass. Ben returns home to see Debbie, his fiancée, but she cannot handle his new appearance and flees. He goes to brood on Brooklyn Bridge and accidentally causes a traffic pileup while stopping a man from committing suicide. The four use their powers to contain the damage and prevent anyone from being hurt. While the public cheers them for their efforts, Ben sees his fiancée leave her engagement ring on the ground and run. Reed hands a heartbroken Ben the ring and vows to find a way to turn him back to normal. The media dubs them the Fantastic Four for their efforts. Victor watches the news story and is told that his company is lost now, the group's fame overriding the company's fate with the media. The four move into Reed's lab in the Baxter building to study their abilities and find a way to return Ben to normal. Victor supports their efforts but blames Reed for the mission's failure, the lights flickering as he grows enraged. Victor goes to a Von Doom building and steals a heat-seeking missile and a supercooling unit. Reed tells the group he will construct a machine to recreate the storm and reverse its effect on their bodies, but warns it could accelerate them instead. Meanwhile, Victor continues to mutate, his arm turning into an organic metal and allowing him to produce bolts of electricity, and he begins plotting to use his new powers to take his revenge. Victor drives a wedge between Ben and Reed by telling Ben that Reed has no desire to change himself back, as the group's research has allowed him to rekindle his relationship with Susan. Reed and Ben argue, Ben walking out in a rage. This motivates Reed to attempt the machine on himself, but he cannot generate the power needed to push the storm to critical mass. Doom hears Reed tell Susan this through security cameras and is Ben brought to the lab. Ben is placed in the machine and Doom uses his abilities to produce the electricity needed to power it, turning Ben back to normal and accelerating Doom's condition, causing much of his body to turn to metal. Victor knocks the human Ben unconscious and kidnaps Reed. Victor, now calling himself Dr. Doom, dons a metal mask to hide his physical disfigure and incapacitates and tortures Reed using the supercooling unit. Doom fires the heat-seeking missile at the Baxter building to kill Johnny, and Johnny flies through the city to evade it, lighting a garbage barge on fire to trick it. Susan rushes to confront Doom as Ben begins to regret his decision to turn normal. Susan frees Reed and battles Doom but is outmatched. Ben arrives to save her, transformed into the Thing again by reusing the machine. The battle spills into the streets, and the four assemble to battle Doom. Johnny and Susan combine their powers to wrap Doom in an inferno of intense heat, and Ben and Reed douse him with cold water, inducing thermal shock and freezing Doom in place. As an epilogue, Ben informs Reed that he has accepted his condition with the help of Alicia Masters, a blind artist for whom he has developed feelings, and the team decides to embrace their roles as superheroes and unite officially as the Fantastic Four. Reed proposes marriage to Susan, who accepts, and they share a kiss. Meanwhile, Doom's statuesque remains are being transported back to his homeland of Latveria when the Dockmaster's electronic manifest briefly experiences electronic interference, suggesting Doom is still alive. In the second part we see, a monstrous alien entity is shown to devour entire planets. A Silver Surfer helps the entity scout for new worlds to consume. The Silver Surfer roams the cosmos and arrives at Earth. As Reed Richards and Sue Storm prepare for their wedding, a silver object enters Earth's atmosphere, radiating cosmic energy, similar to one that gave the Fantastic Four their powers, that creates massive molecular fluctuations, climate anomalies, electrical blackouts, and causes deep craters at locations across the Earth. The craters are 200 meters in diameter. The US government, represented by General Hager, approaches Richards to track and identify the movements of the object. Reed initially refuses, to appease Sue, who feels he is again starting to neglect her for his science projects. However, he surreptitiously builds a radar tracker that will locate the object, as the Army requests. Johnny Storm wants Reed to take on more celebrity endorsements to try and commercialize their popularity and fund his science inventions. Johnny also has the hots for Captain Ray, but she completely ignores him. Johnny decides to auction off exclusive photos of the wedding to the highest bidder. During the wedding, Reed's systems detect the phenomenon approaching the city, and as a result, the city suffers a blackout, creating chaos and damage, which the Fantastic Four try to minimize. Johnny Storm pursues the object, discovering it to be a silvery humanoid riding a flying surfboard. The Silver Surfer drags Johnny into the upper atmosphere and then drops him back toward Earth. During his fall, Johnny finds his abilities fluctuating and barely manages to survive the fall, successfully flying at the last minute. Later, Sue and Johnny switch powers when they touch, prompting Reed to examine Johnny, revealing that exposure to the surfer has set Johnny's molecular structure in flux, allowing him to switch powers with his teammates through physical contact. Tracing the cosmic energy of the surfer, Reed discovers that a series of planets the alien had visited have all been destroyed. Everywhere the Silver Surfer goes, 8 days later, the planet dies. Meanwhile, the surfer sends out a summons into deep space to the alien monster, conveying that another world is ready for his consumption. The surfer also destroys the radar tracker that Reed built, indicating that it does not want its movements to be tracked. The surfer has been creating deep artificial craters around the globe. Reed determines that the next crater will appear in London, and the team travels there. They arrive too late to stop the crater, and the River Thames drains into it. Afterward, both Reed and Sue contemplate abandoning their lives as superheroes to provide a normal life to raise a family. The surfer's movements around the globe bring him past Latveria, where the cosmic energy affects Victor Von Doom, freeing him from 2 years as a metal statue. Doom, able to move again but scarred, traces the surfer to the Russell Glacier and makes him an offer to join forces. When the surfer rebuffs him, Doom attacks. The surfer returns fire, blasting Doom through the ice. The cosmic energy of the surfer's blast heals Doom's body. Doom leverages his experience in a deal with the American military led by General Hager, who forces the Fantastic Four to work with Doom. Deducing that the surfer's board is the source of his power, Reed develops a tachyon pulse generator that will separate him from it, while Victor works on an unknown remote-like machine. The four continue to track the Silver Surfer and reach the Black Forest, Germany, to implement their plan at the edge of a crater. In the Black Forest, Sue is confronted by the surfer, during which he reveals he is merely a servant to the destroyer of worlds and regrets the destruction he causes. The military opens fire on the surfer, which distracts him and allows the four to fire the pulse, separating the surfer from his board. The military imprisons the surfer in Siberia, while they torture him for information. Sue does not agree with torturing the Silver Surfer and displays sympathy towards it. Sue uses her powers to sneak into his cell, where she learns more information from the surfer. He tells her his master was known by the people of his world as Galactus, a massive cloud-like cosmic entity that feeds on life-bearing planets to survive, and that his board is a homing beacon that is summoning Galactus to the planet. The Silver Surfer has to serve Galactus, who will otherwise destroy not only his loved ones but his planet. The surfer admits that Sue reminds him of his beloved back home. The surfer says that Galactus has almost reached Earth and the planet has only a few hours left. Doom, using the device he created earlier, steals the board from the compound, killing the majority of the army presence there at the same time. As soon as Doom steps on the board, he has access to limitless power and is himself indestructible. The Fantastic Four rescue the surfer, and pursue Doom in the Fantastic Car, confronting him in Shanghai. During the battle, Sue is mortally wounded. With the surfer powerless, Johnny absorbs the combined powers of the entire team to battle the cosmic energy-empowered Doom. Johnny succeeds in breaking Doom's control over the surfer's board, and Ben Grimm uses a nearby crane to knock Doom into the harbor. However, Galactus has already arrived, and Sue dies in Reed's arms. The surfer regains control of his board, and his power is restored. He revives Sue and chooses to defend Earth, flying into Galactus. The conflict results in a massive blast of energy that engulfs Galactus in a cosmic rift and kills the surfer as well. Reed and Sue get married in Japan. The credits cut back to a shot of the Silver Surfer's seemingly lifeless body floating through space, but his eyes open and his board races towards him. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing videos.